Hey, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast with guest Cristy Murray, a certified neurocoach dedicated to empowering high achieving women and breaking the cycle of generational trauma. Through her holistic approach combining neurocoaching, nutritional endocrinology, and faith, Cristy facilitates transformative journeys towards reclaiming identity and well being. Cristy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's so exciting to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share my mission and message.
So, my question for you is how can we identify and shift limiting beliefs that might be holding us back from achieving our goals in life?
So you identify it by if you start noticing your patterns, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you have these thoughts in your head that I'm not good enough, I always do this always happens to me, then you got to start asking yourself why. You don't
Mm-hmm.
just settle for, oh, this is just how it is. There has to be a reason. There's always a reason for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So notice those patterns. Why do they keep happening? And then
Mm-hmm.
let's go back to the root cause. Why?
Yeah. You know, someone once said, it was Maya Angelou once said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. It means, we can change how we think to overcome things, holding us back. And I feel that that's the way life needs to be is like changing your mindset because you view
Mhm.
the world through your eyes lens.
Yes, because we can't control how everyone thinks. We can't control how they act or what they do, but we always have full control of how we think, how we
Hmm.
feel, and what to do about it.
Yeah. So can you share some practical tips for our listeners on how they can start banishing those negative thoughts and beliefs, paving the way for that more personal growth and fulfillment?
So first steps really is awareness. You don't know what you don't know. You
Hmm.
just know like there's this little glimmer of something's not right inside you. So, okay, let me backtrack. The first thing I would say is trust your gut feelings.
Yeah.
And then um, start asking questions. Um, why is this happening? Is it me? Always do some self-reflection because it always
Hmm.
starts within us and increase awareness.
Yeah. Staying positive is important. And I think the one thing that you said that also is important is your awareness and awareness within yourself and really learning to trust it. We need to be able to understand, like, okay, I'm feeling this for a reason. I should trust it instead of trying to ignore it and suppress it. And we get distracted with so many things going on in the world that, like, we're able to numb it as well, like, kind of numb the things that we are blocking and wanting to kind of change and gravitate towards. Does that make sense?
It does. And then it also comes back to what sometimes people get these thoughts in their head that, well, I was told I was like this, but
Hmm.
are you? So you tell them who you are. Don't let people tell you who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you tell them who you are, not they tell you who you are. Is that what you
Mhm.
said? I love
Yes.
that, and it's like, no, I am Christina and I am X, Y, and Z. And you stand there with pride and ownership and with who you are. And then you just kind of have that like vibrance of confidence that come off on you. And then you start attracting, the like energy.
Yes, exactly. And that comes with also knowing your identity. Because
Hmm.
if your identity depends on what people perceive of who you are, then you're really just walking around life wearing a mask. Okay, who am I in front of today? Oh,
Yeah.
what mask am I going to wear? And how do I please them? So
Yeah. Well, how do you help someone like kind of like break down like who are they? You know what I mean? Like if someone's always kind of like being a chameleon in life, like, oh, and who am I going to be today? How can we break that barrier for that person to really know who they are and genuinely inside?
yeah, so it's a long process actually, but if you're willing to do the work, so really
Hmm.
you have to know why you want to change. So in neurocoaching, we call it the power of 7 whys.
Hmm.
So why do you want certain things? Well, so let's use weight loss as an example. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, because I want to look good in my clothes that
Yeah.
I'm wearing.
Hmm.
Okay, then let's go further. Why do you want to look good? So then we trickle down and eventually we get down to the root cause of really it's not about just losing weight. It's because you want to look good, because you want to feel good. You want to feel good because you want to have better relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Exactly. And like we said, when you're feeling good and you're vibing good, you're going to attract those like things with those energies that vibe more with, who you are authentically and stuff. And I kind of want to switch gears a little bit, and kind of talk about like the covert narcissism, and
Mhm.
how these relationships affect our lives, and they kind of add to our limiting beliefs. They stunt our growth. What are your thoughts on that?
So as mothers, so I really
Mhm.
love your podcast about mothers, because motherhood is not about just biological. Okay, we get pregnant, we give birth. There's more to it than that. We give birth to children not just to keep them alive. We
Mhm.
want to have good relationships with them, or you would hope every mother would want that
Yeah.
relationship
Right?
with their
Yeah.
children. And so we go back to, we only know what we know based on how we were brought up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then again, so certain things are normalized, but if you have this like feeling, and it's not all bad, no one's perfect, and it's not just one instance that you decide, okay, my mother's a narcissist or this person's a narcissist. So then we go back to looking at the patterns. For me, my own experience, I had discovered there's this gut feeling inside of me that's like, okay, that's not right. Why did they
Yeah.
do that? Why did she
Mm-hmm.
say that? So a lot of discernment, a lot of neurocoaching, then I got down deeper and then I realized, okay, there's a thing called covert narcissism.
Yeah.
Then
Mm-hmm.
I dug deeper. And so for me, narcissism is just this person that is a grandiose type, the one who's always walking around, I am great, I am wonderful, everyone look at me. But there's
Mm-hmm.
another subtype that is more covert, and it's actually more dangerous because it's insidious. You
Subtle.
don't know
Mm-hmm.
that it's like creeping, and you get conditioned that their behavior is normalized until your eyes become exposed to the truth, and then everything just makes sense that okay, all the check marks are being checked. The
Yeah.
gaslighting, the shaming, the guilt trip,
Mm-hmm.
the victim. So all that plays into this, okay, that's your typical covert narcissist. And the covert narcissist is they don't walk around saying they're the greatest. The classic thing that makes a narcissist is their lack of empathy, whether it's a
Yeah.
grandiose type or the covert type.
Yeah.
It's they do things to get attention, and then they don't care
Mm-hmm.
how what the consequences are and how it affects other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I read the book, The Covert Narcissist. I forget who it was by. Um, it was on Audible. I'd have to look it up, but I remember reading that, and that's a good way for people to kind of like if you're feeling like something's a little off, like in your relationship, and like kind of feeling like, God, why do I feel always beat up or whatever the feeling is, like just reach out, kind of read things about covert narcissism and see if things like check off like with your partner because like you said, it sneaks up on you, you don't know, and it's actually more dangerous than like full-blown narcissism because you don't really know what's happening and it's kind of subtle and gradual and the next thing you know, you're like, am I going insane? Like, is it just me or what's going on here?
Yeah, or
Like,
then you
and then
try to
you start having
rational.
those doubts about yourself, like I'm
Yes.
not a worthy, like, oh my God, like this
Mm-hmm.
person might your mind starts wandering in such negative ways about yourself when you get
Yeah,
caught in those relationships.
exactly. And you start feeling, okay, there's something wrong with me. I got to make myself better. And as a person who always looks inward, you do all these self-improvement within yourself and still not good enough. So
Yeah.
then you find out that, well, nothing that I'll ever do will be good enough for that person because it's them. It's not me. It's them.
Yeah.
So then you start taking steps to protect yourself and being aware of the symptoms. So you don't attract the same kind of relationships and the same type of toxic people. So then you're not stuck in that pattern of why am I like surrounded with negativity? And then you don't feel
Hmm.
good about yourself. And then it affects your health, and you take all these medication, you go to all kinds of specialists and they can't find anything wrong with you. But it really trickles down to what's going on inside your brain
Mm-hmm.
what happens in your brain releases certain hormones in your body and really affects your health. So
Yeah.
no matter how many medications you take or all kinds of treatment, if you don't start within the root cause of what's happening inside your head, what's making you feel that way, let's do the work inside. Let's change those neural patterns. And it may not be all of it, but it's certainly going to be a big part of the change that you're making. And like you said, you heard that about covert
Yeah.
narcissism in an audible, and that's
Mhm.
how it actually started for me as well. I
Yeah.
when I started asking questions, and then I found this book, and like, my gosh, it just opened my eyes. It's kind of like you're thinking, no, my eyes are fine,
Yeah.
but then someone gives you a pair of glasses and you put it on, you're like, wow, I can see clearly, and this is how the world is and how it should be.
Yeah.
That's why I'm on this mission of increasing awareness about covert narcissism, so mothers can have better relationships with their children, children
Hmm.
have better relationships with their mothers, and let's break that generational toxic cycle.
Yeah.
Let's keep the good that we learned from our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents,
Hmm.
and then let's shield the next generation from all the bad stuff.
Yeah. And kind of going back to what you said about, taking care of like your physical health, could you share some insights on the interplay between the functional nutrition and the neurocoaching and optimizing both like the physical and the mental awareness?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually started online as a functional nutrition coach because,
Hmm.
and functional nutrition means that, so Google is both good and bad. I shouldn't just say Google. The internet is both good and bad. It's easier for
Hmm.
us to do research. It's more convenient. We get all this information, but it's general. Like someone will say, okay, ashwagandha is good
Hmm.
and primrose oil is good. Vitamin C is good for you. So everyone starts buying all these supplements. But personally, you don't know what's going on in your body. That's
Yeah.
not what you may need. And you may be allergic to those things. You may be allergic to certain foods that healthy for the rest of the world, but for you, there's something genetic
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Milk,
allergies
nope,
that's
not for
happening.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
get ear infections, like weird, you think it would be like the stomach, but it's like it gave me ear infections all the time.
Yeah, and that's happened to my son too. It's like, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of upper respiratory. So that's what functional nutrition is about.
Hmm.
So really honing down on what your body needs, and let's focus on the foods that can make you feel better.
Yeah.
So then I take it a step further to go into neurocoaching because I can tell everyone what to eat, how to eat it, how many hours they need to sleep, and for them
Hmm.
to relax if they have these limiting beliefs in their head. And we call it actually ants,
Yeah.
automated negative thoughts. It just
Hmm.
fires automatically because that's how you're conditioned to live your life. You're not going to want to take care of yourself. You're not going to want to eat what you're supposed to eat. You're going to crave those unhealthy things because you're made to feel a certain way.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, Cristy, it is time for the PowerMom Chronicles, and I cannot wait to dive into your answers. And my first question to you is, what's a game-changing lesson life has taught you?
This is actually a really good question when I was preparing for it. So I used to be in the military,
Mhm.
and I was outside of work, I wanted to be a scuba diver. So I took scuba diving lessons, and I was trained by this a veteran, and he's an Army Ranger. And I learned in a lake. A lake, it's dark and it's like it's really you can't see anything.
Yeah.
But I wanted my certification, and part of the certification is you have to take your goggles off,
Hmm.
and because you're going to pretend that it gets knocked off your face, and you're just going to find it
Yeah.
in the dark. So you find it, you put it back, and then you clear it.
Uh-huh.
So can you imagine how scary that
No,
is with
that's
like
scary. I
the
mean,
dark.
like that's hardcore stuff. Like I would be able to do it. Like, bye.
Yeah. But somehow I was able to do it. I got my certification. And then this guy, he really gave me this wonderful gift. And he said, I can see how scared you were. And I was like, yes,
Mhm.
I was. And he said, but you did it. And you faced your fear, and that's courage.
Yeah.
And that just really stuck with me. So face your fear.
I love that. Because courage is honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it really is a powerful thing to have, to have courage to go out and do what you want to do, courage to, you know, step through your fear and like conquer that to achieve a goal. You know what I mean? Like you have to have courage
Mm-hmm.
in order to get to that finish line sometimes that it's
Mm-hmm.
scary. So I like that. That's a great example. And then reflecting on your journey, what practical lessons or insights can our listeners apply to improve their lives?
Um, So I think what we had talked about earlier is knowing your identity.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not happy with something and you notice this pattern that this keeps happening, then start asking questions.
Yeah.
And like really, really practical tip is just start writing. Keep a diary, keep your own journal, and then do self-reflection and take care of yourself. It's part of self-care. And don't feel like, oh, I'm selfish because I'm taking time to take care of myself.
Yeah.
That's a really crucial step.
It is. And offer a piece of wisdom for moms striving to find their strength and voice.
I feel like all these questions kind of
Yeah, they
hit
do kind
similar.
of like,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit, yes.
So as mothers, then I'm going to start with the self-care, and I'm going to start with evaluating how your relationships are.
Yeah.
Are you this I'm telling you what to do because no questions asked because I'm the mom, or are you wanting to have this good conversation going where your kids are able to comfortably approach you because they
Mm-hmm.
know you're the safe person that they can count on, but also know that you're a strong enough person to guide them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the best advice you've ever received.
I would say that
The courage.
that the courage, yes,
Yeah. It comes in full circle, right?
yes.
All right, Cristy. Well, thank you so much for coming on this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. All of her links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Go say hi, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks for listening.